which you guys are much better at than I am.
In the airplane business.
We're buying this. Tough room. Okay, so I think I'm gonna pick the right plane today, and we'll sketch. Right, and we'll make an arc. Okay. Okay, we got an arc. We'll give it a radius of what? 120 inches? I don't know, you're gonna have to tell me how big they are. I guess you can't really give them a radius because they're not the constant diameter, are they? I know the 8/7's elliptical, right? Or at least not round. Well, yeah, I'm sure that none of them are 100% round. I'm sure they also get rounder when they're at altitude, because when they're pressurized, the non-roundness will decrease, right? Because they're going to deform. Yeah. So okay, I got 120 inches over here. I may even put some other dimensions on this, like, okay, let's make the end here, what do we want to make it, 144, 12 feet, and then we'll make it from here to here. We'll make that 144, about 72. And so I think that pretty much defines it as in the middle, right? If this is 144 endpoint to endpoint, and that's 72 endpoint to endpoint, I think that's going to be in the middle. Almost has to be. Okay, so we get out of the sketch, and we're going to, of course, extrude that, surface, extrude. And we're going to extrude it, I'm going to extrude it this from the center line, or the mid plane, and I'm going to do, what, 144 inches? There we go. Look like a section of airplane. How's that? Okay. So what did I have to make? An arc. Okay. So what's next? Well, I'm gonna get carried away, and while I'm in the modeling mood, I'm gonna keep modeling because I gotta put a window in. Windows.
What's that? We got a center line there? What's that?
That's just the mid plane. When I extruded it, I extruded it from the mid plane instead of blind. Yes. So okay. So let's go pick the front plane here, and I'm going to sketch again. Okay. And I'll even hide this surface. You don't really need to see it. So let's get around to where we can get to the front plane. Okay. And I'm going to do what? I think I'm going to draw a couple of lines here. Oh, yeah, stop that. Critical low on memory, I don't care. I'm going to draw a line, and maybe another line down. Okay. I'm going to make some relationships here. I'm going to make you always and you. I'm going to make you always vertical. Okay. And some more relationships just because it makes life, I find it makes life easier if I do this now. I want them to be horizontal. Oh, did I get one too many things in there? Yeah, let's escape out of that. Oh, okay, what's that? Must have got it different. Okay, so I got the wrong relationship in there. Got the wrong part selected, so I want you and you there, and I want you to be horizontal. There we go, okay. And then I can start putting some dimensions on this. So how tall a window do you want? Like a 1 foot tall window? Come on. Come on, I want you to pick the window. There we go. So you want a 1 foot tall window? Okay. And how wide a window do you want? Come on, why are you giving me grief there? It's being stubborn about dimensioning things. How wide a window do you want?
8 inches.
8 inches. Okay. Okay, and then we'll put a radius in there. And how big a radius do you want?
1 inch.
1 inch? Okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna make myself some center lines. No, not you, you. Okay. And then I'm gonna mirror this thing. I'm gonna pick on you, and you, and you, and I'm gonna mirror it. Stop that. Okay, I'm gonna mirror it about that guy over there. Okay. And then I'm gonna, that seemed to be worked pretty good, didn't we? So. Okay. So, what have I got? I got a window that's 8 inches wide and 12 inches tall. With 1 inch radiuses on the corner. The only one problem is that it's, well, where I made it, it's 10 feet away from the side of the airplane. Ah, darn. Screwed that up, didn't I? Well, or projected, or extrude, or some other way, or whatever we go. Okay, you're right. See, I can't fool you guys at all these days. Can't even scare you with these things, right? Okay. So what am I going to do here? Yeah, we're going to select that thing there, and then we're going to go whichever way we currently like. We get a surface. I'll probably extrude it again. Right, because what do I have? I have extend, trim. I have a trim option here. Parting surfaces. Might be able to get something to do. Boundary surfaces. Probably a trim might be a nice thing to do there. So if I extended it out, it might be that I could trim it. So let's extrude it out. And how far are we going to extrude it? 144 inches. That looks good. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. So I got a window going through the sidewall over here, right? And let's go play with surfaces. And let's see if I can't trim. Okay. And it asking me whether I want to keep it or remove it. I think I want to do the other way around. Let's see. And it's looking like what it's trying to do is which one of of those guys, it's trimming. Trimming tool is that. The surface I want to trim is that one there. And I want to see if we can't remove the section and see what it does. See if that works. Oops, got the wrong one, didn't I? 50-50 odds. Right, so let's keep the section. Let's try that. Okay, and now it looks like I got a hole in it, right? And so all I need to do is I need to, well, let's just hide that guy. Right, so now I've got a side of an airplane with a hole in it. Okay? We buying that?
I'm buying that, yeah.
Okay. Okay. You buying that I have a side of an airplane with a hole in it?
Every time you talk, I feel like I'm talking to a used car salesman. You go, like, really be careful.
Choice of words is important, and the use of the language is hopefully somewhat precise. I don't use it anywhere near as precise as I ought to, but hopefully somewhat precise. So, of course, let's go to the simulation, right? New study. We're going to do static, and we're going to call this, whole. Okay. Ah, come on. There we go. Why not? So, okay. Looks like we got a surface here, right? Now, one of the things we probably want to do is we look at this plane. There are two surfaces here, right, in this part. If I mesh them right now, what's it going to do? It's going to mesh both of them. We can try that.
So by control.
Right, we can try that. Oh yeah, it doesn't have the thickness. Okay. Fine. Yeah, we'll edit the definition. Just give it a thickness, right? 0.125?
7.3.
No fun there. Right. Okay, so if we mesh this, actually didn't do bad there. It didn't do the other part, so sometimes it will, depending on how it feels about it. If you want to, there's an exclude from the analysis flag, right? That you can go, don't mess with this surface, right? Okay, and it won't mess with it. Okay, I'm even gonna, that's an interesting part there. So now what's next?
Boundary conditions.
Boundary conditions, okay. So we go fix, let's see, let me fix these edges up here, right? Because I could do all these the same. And what's my fancy trick for doing these? I really want to do them in polar coordinates. And so to do them in polar coordinates or cylindrical coordinates, instead of these darn rectangular things, we need to have a polar or cylindrical reference, and we only have one of those, but that's okay, that works. So we're gonna fix it to where it can't move in the radial direction, can't move that way. That's part of the boundary conditions, and we're gonna fix the other rotations, the orthogonal rotations. Okay, let's get that one. Right. And now what? Well, let's do it again, right? So let's pick that guy there. right, and this one over here too, right?
Well, it worked better to do it as a force.
Good, I was wanting to see if somebody was paying attention there. Okay, so a reference, right? And we could do a couple different ways here. We could go pick a plane to do a reference. Just as easily, I could go back and pick this, get my polar coordinates, except now I wanna fix it in the axial direction. Right, that's the direction I wanna fix it in. And then I'm gonna take out the other rotations. Okay. That's pretty good. Now what do we have to do?
Load, which is
We got pressures,
pressure load.
right? Pressure loads, okay. That's easy enough to do, right? Do it that way, change the direction, make it what, 10 PSI?
100, 300.
No, that's for the tank, this is for the plane. Okay. Okay, so I got 10 PSI on the plane, cause I don't like these low pressure aircraft, right?
Why don't you just blow out the window?
What's that? Will it blow out the window? Yeah, well, not if the Boeing people have designed the windows carefully, right?
Not but like a glass.
I think they're polycarb, aren't they? They don't blow out very often, right? As long as you keep the fan blades out of them. But that's not your responsibility. The engine people are supposed to keep those constrained to inside the engine.
We try. Doesn't always work.
Okay. Okay, so am I done?
Material.
Material, okay. Material, I can do that. What are we gonna do? Oh, we better make it out of aluminum. Which one do you want?
What about composites?
No, we're gonna do aluminum. I don't wanna get into the anisotropic materials. So which aluminum do you want?
2024,
What's that?
2024 or 60?
2024?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one of these probably doesn't matter. They're all about the same. Okay? Okay. Now, are we happy with it?
You gotta do that force thing.
Gotta do the force, right? So how big's the force?
Calculate it.
Oh, we gotta calculate it. Oh, so what is it? I have, let's see, I got 10 PSI. What's it? P times A, right? So P times A, so the pressure was at 10 PSI. That's easy. Area was what? Pi r squared. The
Yeah.
radius was 120. X squared pi times, that's 45,000 inches. So if I multiply that by 10, I have 452,000 pounds. So, F is equal to PA, which is equal to 10 PSI times pi times 120 squared. Right, which wound up being 452.4 kips. Okay, so I put 452.4 kips on that darn thing.
You got a section.
I got a section of it. Right, so what do I do? Yeah, I kinda have to figure out how much of it's on this section. Somebody pointed out I go back to the model and the sketch. Right, and if I click on this guy, and evaluate this guy here. Come on, measure this guy here. Radius, area, that's the surface. It's not real nice, not really what I wanted. Okay, measure. Let's see. I need to clear the selections. Okay, radius there. Arc length is 154.4 inches.
Wait, what did you do?
I actually got on the little corner over here and advanced details and found the arc, and it gave me the arc length, which was, it said the arc length was 154.44 inches. So the arc length is equal to 154.44 inches. Okay. So what's the, how do I figure out how much of that 500,000 pounds is on that section of the plane?
It's a ratio, it's a ratio.
That's a ratio, right? It's gonna be a fraction of how much this is compared to the circumference, right? So we take the arc length, we divide it by what, pi times 120, which is the circumference, right? And so, we get, 120 times, that's that's 377 inches. This is 377.